on spring break with his family. So welcome everyone. We have a very full agenda tonight. And we're going to begin with our open session where members of the public can come and speak for 2 minutes on any topic that they're choosing, hopefully related to arts or education. So Nellie, do we have anyone in the audience that would like to speak?
We want to close that security event.
I have a raised hand, Gavin Healy.
Yes.
Oh, good evening, good afternoon, everyone. Hi.
Gavin, nice to see you.
Good to see you, Josephine and all.
You just want to introduce yourself and let us know why you're here.
Sure. So right now I serve on the District 2 Community Education Council. And I think as most of you know, the District 2 CEC, covers, Manhattan basically below 59th Street, except for a little bit of the Lower East Side and all the way up the East Side to about 96th Street. And so of course that's all of CB4. I just wanted to speak because we are having elections for the CEC citywide. From voting will be from April 25th to May 13th. And all public school parents or guardians of public school students can vote in these elections regardless of their citizenship or their voter registration. And I just think it would be really great to have representation from the schools in the CB4 area because, right now we have, of course, we have schools like PS11, PS33, PS51, 111, 212, and we don't have any representatives on our council from any of those schools. So we don't have anyone right now from the CB4 area. So it'd be great to have, one or more representatives on the council who could represent the schools in the Hell's Kitchen area on the west side. I think that probably as a council we've been kind of fairly well known. We've been in the news for various things that aren't really related to education and our main mission. Obviously, like some of our elected leaders, people like Brad Hoylman, Eric Botcher, have been very vocal about some of the things that have gone on in our council, particularly the targeting of trans students in our schools. And so, we've been trying to sort of push back against that. So it would be great if we had, a council that I think is maybe more focused on representing, all the families in our district, and also just focused on kind of the fundamentals of things we need for education, like lowering class sizes, making sure that we have funding in the face of threats of pretty significant federal funding cuts that in particular kind of target some of the neediest schools like Title I schools, since the federal funds that are coming in for our city schools are mostly funds that are focused on individuals with disabilities, Title I schools, and the school meals programs. So to any extent that we can get sort of people on the council who can push back against that would be great.
Thank you so much for that, Gavin. I'm glad you spoke about the Title I schools because we do have 3 Title I elementary schools and I believe 2 Title I middle schools. So that is going to have a huge impact on us, all the firings from the Department of Education in Washington, and how we're going to receive our funds. So that is concerning. Your next CEC meeting is in our district, correct? I believe it's at Lab Middle School. Is it? I think it's
Yes.
at Lab. Yeah.
That's correct. I will be meeting at Lab Middle School on April 23rd, Wednesday at 6 p.m. So it would be great to see some people from the district there. Yeah.
Definitely. If anyone is interested in getting involved in more school issues, the CEC is a great way to get started. And Gavin is a very friendly person and always there to answer any questions. So we're very happy that you could join us this evening. Good.
Thank you.
Is
I'll
it
put my
involved?
email in the chat, see if anyone wants to reach out.
I don't think our chat is open, but I certainly, you can contact me and I would be happy to pass along your information to anyone who asks.
Okay, I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Gavin. Is that it, Nellie? That's great.
There's no one else with a raised hand.
Okay, so do we have the New York Public Library? Are they here?
Yes, I see Francis here.
Okay, great. Could you bring her over? Hi, Francis. Nice to see you.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. Hope everyone's well.
Hi. So you were here to provide us with an update.
Yes, I know that on the Columbus project specifically, I know last I was here, we had a discussion and the board was concerned about closing the Columbus Library for its roof and parapet project before the reopening of the Muhlenberg Library. Happy to share that that will not happen. The Columbus Library will not be having a long-term closure for this project. What we are anticipating is maybe 1 or 2 weeks to move in equipment in and out of the library to do that work, but no long-term closures. Liana, the library manager, is here on this meeting, I believe, with us, and she can provide updates on programs. But we are very glad to say that we will not be closing the Columbus Library, and we are still on schedule, knock on wood, to reopen the Muhlenberg Library in August. So as you may recall, that was a two-part project, one part being managed by the Department of Design and Construction, and then the work that we're currently finishing up at Muhlenberg is being taken care of by our facilities department. So we're very confident that we'll be reopening that library after a bit of a delay. I know that's an understatement, but we're very happy to continue providing services to community district 4. And I'm happy to take any questions, of course.
Yes.
Can you tell us approximately when that 1 to 2 week closure is going to be? And if the Columbus Library will still be acting as a cooling site this summer?
Yeah, okay. So at this point, we are onboarding the contractor that will do this work. But once I have more information on when those 1 or 2 weeks will happen, I will make sure to write to the district manager. Our communications department will also be set to send out a mass patron note to folks who are registered to receive communications from the Columbus Library. But I'll do my very best to make sure that you all get that update before it goes out to the community.
Great. And do you anticipate that it will be a cooling center this summer?
Yes. Yes, definitely.
Great. Any other questions? Well, that was easy. It was all good news.
Yeah, all good news, thankfully. Thank you.
Yes. Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much for that update, Francis. We appreciate you joining us.
Yeah, no problem. And I do want to just give, if possible, give Liana a minute to just provide any program updates. If she can be given panelists or.
Nellie, could you bring her over?
Who's the person? I'm sorry.
Liana Spooner.
Okay, 1 second.
Thank you so much.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, nice to see you.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
All good news.
Yes, very good news, right?
Yes.
So I just wanted to give a few updates. Well, not updates, just talk about some of the different programs that Columbus is offering. So we still have our social work and intern, and I'm just going to bring this up. Okay, So, and we meet, she's here every Tuesday and Friday, and she's here from 10 to 4. And then we also have a conversational English class, which is great and is picking up. And we do that every Wednesday at 10 a.m. from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. So we have an art program for teens every Monday at 3:30 p.m. We have a craft program for little ones every Wednesday at 3 o'clock. That one really packs out. So, right. So that's like one of our most popular programs. And then I just want to talk about some of the new programs that we introduced. We have a horror book club every third Saturday of the month that is really popular. So we're having our second one this month, but the first one had a great turnout. And then another exciting program that we are offering is the Read program. And that is, so we have kids who will, they'll do a one-on-one reading program with a dog. And at first we were just going to do one program a month, but it was so popular. Now we're doing 2 programs a month. So we are excited. So I just want to share the good news, and I just want you guys to just feel welcome to stop by at Columbus Library.
That sounds really exciting. All good news. I just have a quick question. Your program, your social worker program and your conversational English, were you seeing migrants joining those programs? And if they were, are they still joining them, or what's happening?
So the social worker program is, I feel like it's a mix, because I see all different people join that one, just because a lot of different people need resources, right? So I see people come for resources, and I see people also come for a listening ear. Just depends on what's going on with them. And with the conversational English class, yes, definitely migrants, yes.
Good to know, because a lot of families were not coming to school, and we seem to be missing a lot of people, so I'm just kind of wondering what's happening with that. Does anyone else have any questions?
I guess I was just wondering, is there a reason? I would think that just like the conversational English, it might be helpful to have it at a time that isn't during the traditional workday for people who might be working. And I was just wondering, was there a reason that it isn't offered at a time that doesn't conflict with the traditional workday?
Right. So at the moment, that's the time that we do offer it, because we would have to offer it during open hours. And so staffing wise, we're doing it then, but we're open to, just depending on like staffing levels, just like maybe another time. But at the moment, that time does work.
And it's pretty full, you're saying?
Yeah, they get good turnout. Yeah. And I watch the people come in, and they come in with a smile, and it's good because they're learning English and they're also networking, right? So what I see is them learning English and making new friends.
And had you ever offered one on a weekend, like on a Saturday, or no? It's always been during
Not
the
at
week.
this location, but I know that it's kind of close, but not that close. I know the Sniffle Library they also have classes that teach English.
And you think that there is one there on the weekend?
I'm not sure, but there may be.
I can follow up with the director of our English literacy program and get you that full schedule, and also just your question. I think it's a valid one to why we don't offer. I mean, Fiona obviously provided some of those some of the reasons, but I can follow up and share more details on our English literacy program.
Thank you.
Okay, Max, we'll go to Max first.
Yeah, this is a capital question, so thank you again for that updated schedule with Columbus. That's phenomenal news. After this HVAC work, what is the next biggest capital need at the Columbus branch?
The next biggest
Yeah, what's like the next biggest capital need at the Columbus branch?
project?
Or the next most pressing need, the need, not a project.
Oh, that's a good question. I would need to follow up on that. I know that there is a second project. Wait, so there's a roof project, and then the HVAC project. That's what's next. Sorry, to clarify.
The roof is first.
Yes, yeah. So after the HVAC project, what is the most pressing capital need at that branch?
I don't believe I saw an additional project on the
You
actual
can come
project.
back, I don't need anything that's planned, just the next biggest need after you do your capital needs
Okay.
assessment, like what is
Yeah,
the
yeah,
biggest
I
upcoming?
can,
Yes.
yeah, I can definitely follow up. And then just to give you kind of a heads up on how we, of our calendar of needs, obviously, every year we submit our capital needs, and what we do internally here at the library is that I work with the capital department, I work with the facilities department, and we look at all the libraries across the system. And for each community board, we try as best as we can provide a list of needs. So we will be sending that out. We always send it out a district-wide need, just to give the board an overview of what our goals for the year will be, what we're focusing on in August, I think the first 2 weeks of August. And then in September, we send out a follow-up with very specific capital needs. So that also just, will give you an opportunity to discuss as a full board what will go on, obviously. But that, Dusty always receives those updates from us in August and September. But that's always a good opportunity for us to regroup internally at NYPL and get the board support in trying to match those needs and get funding from the city too.
Great. Is that building fully accessible right now, or?
Columbus?
Yeah,
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
great.
Okay, Ella?
Are there any after-school tutoring programs, Leanna?
Yeah, so we have, and that's another one of our popular programs. So we have our after-school tutor, and they meet Mondays through Thursdays from 3 to 6.
Okay. So do you
Right?
need to like make an appointment or
No,
you just
no,
walk
just
in?
drop in. And you know what's interesting? And we go off the school calendar for the public schools. So we don't have it this week because they're on spring break. But we service everybody, and some of the kids from Success Academy, they have school this week. So they're like, oh, where's the tutor? We're like, next week. But that program, that is honestly, that's a great program. And I've had the privilege of watching kids who like didn't sit down. They didn't like to sit down. They didn't really like to just like do anything after school, just do whatever. They've been sitting, they've been listening, they've been learning. They've also made new friends. It's honestly, it's a really great program. Like you see, I'm getting happy talking about it.
I know.
Right? And I miss them. And they even did a fun program last week, like Are You Smarter Than, I feel like maybe it was a version of Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? And it was cute. And they did like a match between like some of the students and the parents. It was cute. So it's definitely a great program.
You're a good salesperson for it.
Yeah, it's definitely a good program. And I'm proud of the people that are leading it. And then I'm also proud of, they have also these tutors, and it's great because so the person who's leading it, is officially definitely has teaching experience, and also the tutor is some of their first job. And it's great. So it's also, I'm happy to see how they're working with the students, and they're doing great.
Sounds really fantastic.
Yeah, it's a good program. I'm glad you asked.
Thank you for all those great updates. Yeah, and we look forward to hopefully visiting the library soon. We should do a field trip.
Yeah.
Yes, please let me know when you're coming, and then we'll make it happen.
Okay, great. Thanks you so much, ladies.
Have a great one.
Take care. Have a good
Thank
evening.
you. Bye-bye.
So next on the list, we're so happy to have Michael Wiggins here in person. This is so lovely because I miss everybody coming in person, I don't think we've had like speaker here in a very long time. So thank you for coming.
Yeah, thanks for the invite. My colleague Santos Collado is online somewhere. Santos does a lot of the work on our workforce development program, and I'll shout you out. Has been doing such a great job. Has become over the past year a terrific thought partner. We would like to present on these three things Matt Green, I guess, was the instigator of this, but I know my boss, and my boss has had some, conversations with you online. Last year we did lunches and we wanna also remind you that lunches are on the table, they're much more fun and you get more.
And sustaining.
That's right. Okay, that's Santos, and on top, will you say hi?
Hi, everybody.
But I'm gonna ask you later to narrate the day for the fellows, but I'm gonna skip through this deck, which we worked so hard on with Danielle. I love this picture. I have a confession to make. I'll make it right. I know we're being recorded, but I'm gonna tell you that the moon is moved around sometime in our pictures. Because we believe in beauty and we wanted to make it perfect, so, but I love this picture, it is, a accurate representation, I think, of what it feels like to see the island from the water. And, the concept of an ambitious season is something that I think, is really represented by, the choices we made and what you've seen in the press. I can ask Frederick to move forward, I would be grateful. Yeah, okay, so we're gonna talk about these three things, teen access, which is what we used to call team night, but we're building on past work and we've made some significant changes in the way we operate. So we're trying a new iteration, and I'll describe that. Workforce development, which is the reason I took the gig, actually, about 6 years ago, June of 2018. I came from a sojourn in Baltimore to work with Trish and team. Because she said we could engage, educate, and employ local people, and that's my wheelhouse. That's what I want to do with my life, and so that's what they have allowed me to do here, and I'll keep doing it until they tell me to go. Community ticketing is free tickets, so we'll move through this with some rapidity, but I want to entertain questions. So let's go to the next one, please. I just waved in my hand this because me usually behind me. My coordinator, we're telepathically connected. So she's not here today, so I'm doing that. Teen access. So we decided that teen night was successful, but it was not exactly what we wanted. I have worked as an arts educator for many years, and often when you work with young people, and everybody who works with young people knows this, in an environment in which adults are also served, and especially in theater, you do the show in front of the set. Whatever set is there. They're doing Our Town and the teens have to do something, you do that in front of the set. So I'm like, I'm tired of doing it in front of the set. And Nala got on the stage when we were doing teen night. If you go to the next picture, please. If you go right, if we were on stage on the Glade, which is around the corner from this, and Nala was like, this bar on the stage is disrespectful, mister. I can't do my thing with this, it's not enough space for us. So we tried to do something different last year called the Legacy Ball. And it was successful, although it rained us out and we had to do it under the bridge. We pivoted, it was supposed to be in the amp and we pivoted to do it under the bridge and it was spectacular. And you can see that it was spectacular. The teens vogued and the competition was amazing. So we're gonna make that an annual event. And we said to ourselves, what if we wanna make sure they feel invited to everything. So what happens then? And so we start with the idea that the artists who are programming the Glade, they're top quality, like Susan Lloyd Parks, Cecile Savant, who I saw at Carnegie Hall, amazing. We asked them to program at least 2 nights over the summer for the young people, and this was the prompt. Create something that you needed when you were that age, but the world didn't give you.
Wow.
So it's for them, you're invited as well, but it's for them, and those artists are booked to do a curated a series. And so they've given up some real estate to the teens. And so that's teen access. I like that. So they're gonna go, I don't even know what it's gonna be yet. Those artists are deciding. And they're gonna work with our emerging producer, who is a young person from the National Black Theater, who is between the ages of 18 and 24. That person is close enough to teens to also join the curating effort and inform it, and also invite other people to come. So we'll have 2 nights in the Glade that are just for teenagers at the very least, and then we'll have 3 nights of the Legacy Ball in the end. And it will be at 750 seats, ticketed event. There'll be free tickets for everyone. They're completely free, and we'll work really hard to make sure that at least 150, 200 of those people in the audience are teenagers, specifically teenagers, but it's open to everybody. And once we put it on sale, it's not on sale yet. Once we put it on sale, it's gonna sell out, because it did last year too. But they'll get all of these things, which I think are important. As you say, I was one of those kids out there in the world, and this is what young people, I think some of my work is about trying to help people avoid the suffering that I went through, I know that resonates with any adult who has climbed a hill, you know, that you look back and you say, I wish. So all of these things are for the young people, including the free tickets, the shows, the special events, and snack vouchers, because who wants to come somewhere to a park where you can't even have a little, you know, little treat? All right, did I miss anything on this slide, Santos?
No, I think the only other thing is that also in the AMP for when the teens come to community events or the community ticketing shows, when they come to see any show that we have in the AMP, they will also have some curated experiences that we're going to give for them. So the emerging producer is going to work with some of those AMP artists to maybe do a special talk back at the end of a show, or to identify which design team is really cool to work with, or they're doing like some experimental things that maybe some young people might be interested in. So there'll be some technical theater shadowing opportunities that we're looking into offering in addition to the talks in the Glade and the general free tickets for shows.
I'll move on, I know, because I want you to experience it rather than me talking about it. So you're all invited to come to these things, and I hope that you do. It's inspiring to be with them and look at them. I'm waving my hand wild. Next slide, please, I beg you. Thank you. I'm lost without me. I realized that, no. Me, by the way, is one of our fellows who then turned into a worker, which is something that we do. We hire our people back. And we have people now who've been with us for 5, 6 years and have supervisory roles within our organization. And so that is what we wanted to do, and it unfurls really fast. You build your own diversity and equity.
Nellie, can we get the next slide?
Thank you, Nellie. This is about community ticketing, so we'll just keep moving forward, Nellie, if you wouldn't mind. Thank you. So this is the AMP. We want you to come to free to shows in the AMP, and we want to make sure that you have tickets. I get 20 tickets a night to distribute. That's significant. That means I can bundle them for a show. So, you know, we can invite 100 people to come see the gospel at Columbus on one Friday night, which is what we're going to do. If you'd like to come with a bunch of church groups, that's the night to come. So we're going to try that. And we give tickets away to dozens of organizations. Some of my frustration is that people don't, the relationship between transactional relationships that involve free stuff are often, there's a lot of attrition. So we really want to make sure we find partners, and you're one of them, that can put tickets in people's hands and that they'll utilize them, because every ticket that doesn't go is somebody's lost. I'd love people to experience all this stuff. Nelly, if you would go to the next slide, I'd be grateful. Thank you. And these are some of the people that'll be with us in the summer. I'll read some of them because I like David Byrne will be around with us. Jonas Policewoman, Kate Tarver, Nigel Smith, Whitney White, Maria Callas will be explored in one of the final shows. Johannes Brahms music will be played because we're going to do a durational kind of thing with that. Anthony Roth Costanza, who did the big opera last year, everybody was so into, and he was a huge fan base, like rabid fans. Cecile McLaurin Salvant, who just is amazing, and if you can't see anybody else, she will delight you. Charles Ludlam's work will be written. Michelle Indigeo-Cello, who I knew back in the day in Brooklyn, will be back. She's an amazing artist, amazing bass player and writer. She's going to do the thing on James Baldwin. And then Poppy Juice. We're trying this idea of safe parties. We did it with the teenagers. We had parties for years, and you didn't even notice. Not one fight. Nothing happened. And so we've moved into working with Poppy Juice, especially in this the climate that we have now. Poppy Juice is a queer Black and brown collective that will try to create safe spaces for anybody to party. Up until like 12:30, but not that late. And we're not, we have reduced the number of food items on our, but they're more catchy items, more handheld items. I really just want you to be there. Everything is not on this board. This is Childish Gambino, who I didn't know he was either, but huge deal. And we put this up in 2 weeks because they called and were like, we love your place, we love to bring it. So we have on the schedule, there will be at least 2 surprises. We don't even know what they are, but we're ready to pivot and put them on. That's what we've been practicing.
You said Carl Gambino?
Childish Gambino is his stage name. He's also Donald Glover, wildly talented dude who just does music, TV shows.
I thought you meant somebody else.
Every
like a mafia guy from the 70s.
No, he borrowed some of that. He wants some of that bread. That's what he wants. But it was lovely. It was a beautiful show, and we're gonna do that again. Did I miss anything?
No, that covered everything. Yeah, the special events coming up, those 2 of them planned. So let's see what happens.
Santos organizes a team of ushers. And those ushers are, I think, the Cracker Jack team, one of the best teams we get. We do a lot of surveys, and people say, I love the ushers. Oh my God, I felt so welcome. It's a workforce development program, and my job was to create a workforce development program that you cannot throw away. So it is built in. All the workforce we do is built in. These are necessary jobs, which goes completely against my training. If we go to the next slide, now we'll start to talk about workforce. Actually, I missed one thing. Save this date. You probably have an email somewhere, and if you don't, I will send it to Josephine, and I'll send it to Jesse again, reminding you, Tuesday, April 29th, 3 p.m. online, we're gonna do an orientation. You don't really have to come, but it'll mark in your mind, and the next day you're able to book tickets immediately. It's first come, first serve. These are our mottos this year. First come, first serve, and you're out of luck. Also, there's 1,300 other shows. Please go book one of those. That's what I'm trying to do this year. We will do some special events for people. We always try to keep the human in play. We have rules, but people over rules all the time. So free tickets are available. I have a set number of free tickets. Those are the rules. It's first come, first serve. Those are the rules. If you miss out, I'm sorry. I can't, work anything except ask me anyway, and we'll try to figure it out. All right, because we don't do transactions. We try to do friendships. That is the benefit of having a soul funder. All right, next, please. Thank you, Nelly. This is about workforce development. And so, as I said, Santos runs a team of ushers, and there are 24 ushers this year, plus their leadership. They are all CUNY students, and I'll let him talk about that. And we also have a fellowship program, which I will talk about as well. And there's an invitation call to action in here as well. Nelly, if we go to the next slide, please. Thank you. So this is a photo of some of our fellows. Right here, this person here, this young woman is from El Salvador. She's amazing. And she's a data specialist, and she worked with us with an outside evaluation company, AEA Consulting. Of course, they do evaluation, and that's what they do for a living, and they make zillions of dollars doing it. We asked them to help train this young person as they participate in this event, because they're off to grad school to be a scientist. And so this woman is off to grad school to be a scientist, and worked with us for 2 years on this study and did an amazing job. Natalia was the lead data specialist who lives in London, and is a professional with decades of experience. I think have professional experience that she never had. What I have a reverse mentorship. The idea this young person is really, really capable. And so where do you take them on the next thing? So there was some teaching going on, but we want to talk about capable human beings who can process data, who would bring things back to me and make meaning out of numbers. Really, really wild. All of these people are friends of ours and have come back to work for us in more than one incarnation. And that is one of the secrets of Little Island that I would like you to spread, which is that a gift is powerful. You cannot control it. And as it was defined as a gift, it has done the thing that a gift does, which it has moved. It has kept moving. Santos, you want to talk anything about? They had their first day today, the two fellows that we hired today. We talk about them?
They started today. We have a artistic programming fellow who's going to be working in the artistic programming department with the general manager of Little Island. So doing some like behind the scenes technical theater kind of work, contracts, invoices, keeping everything moving and learning that that field of theater that will help get real jobs in the future. And the entire idea of the fellowship program is to get a little bit more administrative training in your field. So for instance, we also have a communication fellow this year, marketing communications. So these are people who are interested in these fields, who've either gone to school, take some classes in it, started an internship in it, and just getting a little bit more administrative support before they go off into full-time employment.
I keep waving my hand from me. Mi Le Dieu is from Vietnam and is one of our fellows. Went from a fellow to be an administrative assistant, has been working with me for at least a year now, and got a full scholarship. So we have another person in artistic programming who comes from Yale, who is also a fellow in a different incarnation of this program. Me just got a full ride to Yale grad school for me, right? Full ride, but also room and board. So everything is free. We're talking about incredible young people. We're talking about young people who have, Katie over here, they're scholars, and they're all CUNY students, and a significant number of them have lived in the houses, in public housing. And we did that because our intention was to hire those people. We didn't make it a rule, but something happens with serendipity when you make a thing for somebody. Those are the people that show up. And Santos has done a great job of recruiting along with our talent coordinator, Melanie. So there's the idea of mentorship is in there, and that's what the call to action will be around, because you are smart people with lives. You've made good choices, and I would love to invite you into our space to explore and engage with the concept of mentorship, or relationships with some of these young people. And, we have something on the calendar that I'll point to. Okay, Nelly, if you wouldn't mind moving forward, we'll talk about the Usher program. Santos, will you describe it, please?
Yes, thank you. The Usher program is your entry-level position. We are building young people ages 18 to 26 who are love to engage, and we're building that interpersonal skills in everybody. So they have thousands of interactions a day as ushers, as front of house for all of our performances. They're really working on their leadership qualities, their communication and public speaking skills. And they're also reinforcing all of that learning in weekly workshops that we do every week throughout the summer. So they're in participatory workshops with me in the summer to develop those skills that they then transfer back into their work.
Interruption. Workshop Wednesdays is also for all staff. So we do leadership, communication, public art, public space, and what's the other?
Financial capability.
Financial capability. And so all senior staff, anybody above a certain level knows that they have to participate in this program as some sort of mentor, teacher, whatever. They're faculty. And so they're programmed in along with some other friends to lead these workshops, and staff has permission to attend and gets paid to attend on a limited basis with supervisor approval, et cetera. But it's part of our professional development ecosystem. They're at Pier 57. You're invited to one of these. And again, I'll just point to it later. Okay, no, the guy on the end, that's August, right? Is that August? Who is that on the end?
That is Jaden on the end, who has been an usher in 2023, came back in 2024, and is also back again in 2025 now. So he is one person that has repeated the program. He is in the same role, but we have inspirations of moving him up to a lead usher and potentially further up in
He talked to me today,
management.
and I remember the first time I saw him, he wouldn't even talk. So this 3 years in, I said, hey, something, and he was in the back, and I said, no hazing, because the other kid is. And he laughed, talked to me, which is, he never would do that before. So the program is really, I think, something about love.
If we are pointing out people on this picture here, and right next to Jaden on the end there is Jay Ali, who is our HR coordinator. So Jay Ali moved from an usher in 2023. In 2024, she came back to be a temporary role in the Park Ops
This
department.
reality right there. They sit way across from me, and I will say, I can say this out loud without revealing anything, I'll be discreet. They are talented and we have our eye on them, and they like HR. And HR is a field that pays well, like finance, where I should have gone into. So I'm hoping that Jay goes into HR, because all the HR professionals over there think that their entry level has been a great, spectacular success.
Yes.
Okay, next slide, thank you. Tell me what it is you plan to do with your one wild and precious life. So this is from a poem by Mary Oliver called Summer Day. And we are going to do a mentorship panel on June 25th. Both of our fellows, sometimes we have up to 6 fellows at a time. They all get an individual mentor that we pick, which is not perfect because you pick your mentor. You pick your own mentor, but we assign them a mentor, and we hope that something comes of it, and it does. But on this day, we're going to have something interesting, which I think we're going to have some past mentors and new people sit on a panel. I think 3 women I'm looking at right now, to sit on a panel, and everyone will have this poem. Everyone who attends will be asked to read this poem beforehand, and the prompt is, let us engage with this poem as it relates to the idea of professionalism, your career, and mentorship. That's it. I don't even know what's going to happen, but I'm going to get these smart people up, and they're going to talk about what it felt like to read this poem and relate it to their life. We're going to do that. Then we're going to share a story. I think it might be Jayali's story you want to share about somebody's journey through our program, so that you can get some sense of how it really feels. They're going to be there to tell it. And then we're going to sit people around in a room with snacks and say, all the young people are going to be programmed by Santos to say something like this. Miss Josephine, nice to meet you. I'm Michael. I'm at CUNY, and I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to become a physicist. That's what I'm trying to do with my life. And I don't even know what, that's it. And then y'all talk. And what I'll do secretly afterward is say, hey, anybody meet anybody they want to meet again? And if the kids want to meet somebody again, we'll give them $50 and they can call you up. I'll call you first and say, they really like meeting you and they'd like to take you to lunch. Would you mind? Would you go? And if you say yes, then we'll do some matchmaking. I think that's how we're going to figure out how to make sure everybody has, because I didn't know that I could sit in front until I had a mentor and somebody got me a mentor. I thought I should show up perfect. I didn't know I was supposed to show up in front of an adult who had a life and say, I am flawed, or I am confused, or I am vulnerable.
I'm young.
I didn't know that, and
Yeah.
so I realized that we have to create an opportunity for people to start to talk to people like that. And I hope that you will come, we are invited.
Oh, great.
Next slide, and we're almost done, thank you for your patience. Little Island, this is us, we hope that you will contact us, we really do hope that you'll take us up on this offer, which is that we have the freedom. And I think we have the responsibility to create relationships that are non-transactional in order to really get to something true, and so we're available to you. And we want to see you a Little Island and all the people that you love. That's it.
Old people,
Say again?
8 people, old people, everybody was young, what about old fox like me?
Santos is looking to hire an usher right now to give some balance to the team and some gravitas. That's one thing. We're not doing creative aging this year. We used to take a creative aging class at Westbeth, and they did a show and we would bring it to the island. We did that 2 years in a row. We're taking a pause. We did classes, Latin dance classes at PS33 and at the houses for a number of years. We put all of that on pause. We're trying to figure out, Mr. Dilla likes to do this as an iteration, is to do something really just throw it over and try something else. So I'm not sure, but I really would like suggestions. Creative aging is really important. I'm getting older, and I wrote one of the first creative aging programs for the New York Public Library, through Lifetime Arts, which was a new idea. Ed was working in the Bronx around that kind of stuff, and I worked with them. But yeah, I don't know what to do around.
Maybe I end the yoga class. Chair yoga, I end the yoga.
See, chairs, where would I put them? And where would I hang? And that's the thing, the island is so unique in that way. But maybe something around health. Maybe early morning. That sounds like actually a good idea, early morning.
Early morning, yeah. Tai Chi,
Yes,
right? You don't need equipment for that, and
Possibly a partner, if you maybe would think about, I once entertained the idea of bringing in a partner, which we've not done very much.
Well, it's the Institute, which is on 22nd Street.
I'll look at that. Thank you. I'm writing my notes right now.
Thank you so much. I just have one question. When you were discussing the workforce development, do you mostly partner with CUNY students or can other?
Everyone is invited to apply.
apply?
We thought that as a gift to the city of New York, where was the most need and what would benefit the city in terms of its growth in the future. So we said, well, let's go to the city university and partner with them. We didn't sign on to the CUNY Cultural Corps because we don't have to, but they've been very responsive. And they helped set up the orientation session. And I think how many interviews did you do this year? I know we did fewer than last year, but.
Yeah, we did about 35 interviews this year. We are hiring right now. We're at 88% CUNY students. So there's about like 4 non-CUNY students. Some people go to SUNYs or some people go to a private school here and there. So it's not a strict requirement. It's just who we center in the program. But we also are open to people who are not enrolled in school right now or in transitions.
We're not locked into any relationships. We're not saying we don't have to. That's one of the things. CUNY Cultural Corps is very specific, and I wanted to serve that group, but they allowed us to partner with them without signing on to their full program, so that they just help advertise it for us. But if you're signed on to like summer youth employment or cultural corps, then you have these reporting requirements and also scheduling requirements. We want to integrate the people into our stream specifically and exactly. And I don't ever want there to be a situation in which they say, well, we're going to cancel that, therefore these people don't have a job.
I was gonna ask if you were involved with summer youth employment, but.
I've worked with them before in other jobs, in other lives. And it's a great program, and I'm glad I did it because I learned about how to set up programs there. But my theory now, and I'm glad I've done it really, is to try to create a situation in which the service work is built in. And if you had to pull it out, you'd have to pull out the heart of something. I don't want any one of our young people to lose an opportunity because we've changed direction or we've simply changed. It's built into the operation, which goes completely against everything I was trained to do. But the balance is really in the care and intention that Santos and his colleagues represent, We have intentional learning. We keep track of where they are, not just when they're with us, but afterward. It's a forever relationship, right? We intend for them to come back and take our jobs. So that kind of caring, I think, balances it out.
How many people total are employed by Little Island?
It will, in the summer, it's huge, and I can't even give you an accurate number. It would be at least 300 artists, and then there are many technical people surrounding that, up to 100. And in theater, you do something called overhire, you hire a lot of people, and then you use them for a short period of time. So we really flower, you know, like desert flowers in the summer. We have a full-time team of around 40. And
That's year round.
that's year round.
Got it.
And then we have part-time workers who are also year-round. But the team in the park, it's very small in the winter time because it's freezing out there. And over at HQ, which is what we call the DBF building, that's where we are. There are about 30 people sitting around doing boarding test jobs. I have the best job because I get to chat and make friends.
Cool.
That's
Yeah, in the summer, we'll have about 31 workforce development employees alone every year. So we're within the workforce programs of the ushers and the fellows, we're hiring about 30% of our entire seasonal staff. So it's a significant amount of roles that we have open for young people in general.
Every employee at Little Island has professional, every employee, no matter how junior, has professional development money, significant amounts next to their name. And our intention is to help them identify what they want to do with their lives. And if there's an opportunity within the organization, we are working to make that happen. And if not, we're also working to make that happen. And hoping that they will train somewhere else, learn somewhere else, and then come back and maybe serve us or whatever. But that's what we're doing with his money.
One of the needs that we've heard in our community is like a very large gathering place, and do you guys just for nonprofits, possibly rent out the space, possibly in the mornings or something?
So the lease dictates that we don't rent, so no private events at Little Island. Even Mr. Diller is not permitted, according to the lease regulations, the lease to do private events. It's a public park and our job is to be stewards of it. We have very few rules, but that's one that we do enforce. People can come to the park to do almost anything they like to do as long as they're following the rules. So no amplified music means you could play a trumpet in the middle of the park. We have hosted graduations from PS33 and other schools.
Yeah.
It is a difficult thing. Again, when I was talking about in front of the set, the season really takes over, but beyond what audiences see, it begins a month before at the very least. So the overlap and then school graduations is hard. We managed to do it a number of years in a row, but with this, as you see, ambitious season, it was just impossible this year. We have internal discussions about what our commitment is and responsibility. I think what we're going to land on is something that it's something close to what we landed on with PS33, which is we cannot do everything. Therefore, we're going to focus on our local schools, making sure that everything that can be accessible to that population and that school community is available. So PS33 is one of our community ticketing partners. And as their young people move up, we want them to stay involved in Little Island. What I'm looking at now is how can I bridge the gap so that the young people here can move into these programs. And so maybe you can help me think about that. You can help us think about that. It really is, it's hard to solve it. And my colleagues in theater production, that's their focus, is to put up those shows. I mean, that is a huge endeavor. Their sense of caring is really deep too. And so I have a problem solve with them around the schedule. We're starting these conversations about next year now. And they're aware of this, and I brought it to them as a problem. As in, it's a problem that a leading organization has not established what its commitment is yet. And so we need to talk further about it, and they agree.
Yes, Max.
This is incredible, truly spectacular. The lease you guys have at Hudson River Park, the 20-year lease, does that stipulate anywhere you have to program other parts of Hudson River Park, or is it just Little Island?
No, we're just Little Island. All of our responsibility ends at the Esplanade. Yeah.
Okay.
So again, for dates, I hope that you will, we will remind you of the 29th, which is community ticketing, and even if you missed that, you're community ticketing partners. And so we'll communicate, and hopefully you and your community will access those tickets. I also mean, it starts with you attending, right? Because then you can talk about it, so I hope that you do feel invited. And then, the mentorship thing on 6/25, which I hope will be inspiring for everybody, I will remind you of that as well. Okay, that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our friends from the Highline are next, so maybe we'll stay.
Yeah, sounds good, sounds
Hang
good.
out with them, I think.
So there's a question.
Oh, there's a question from the audience. Can you
Yes.
hold on one second? Mike Freeman, Nellie, can you enable him to speak?
I know, me too. It's really great, just the connection, just to see what it does beyond just the park and the programming, just to see how you guys like run your ethos, like it's really
I'm
enough.
glad we
Mike,
got
you
to-
can unmute now.
Hi,
Mike Freeman, you're able to speak now. You can unmute.
Now can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. Can you see me?
Yes.
Oh,
Hi.
great. I finally figured out how to do it. Hi, Michael.
hi Mike.
We've met by email, but this is the first time we've met in person. Nice to meet you. Everything you're doing sounds great and very positive. And by the way, my daughter is a scientist, so the story of your intern was great to hear. You had connected me with Farida Lecoin, I think is her name, and later I was put in touch with Ed Wasserman. I had conversations with both of them regarding the inclusion of local CB4 musicians and groups as headline performers at Little Island. As you know, or as far as I know, nothing has changed in that regard. So I wanted to remind you of that and push for the inclusion of musicians and band leaders from the community as headline performers on programming at Little Island. Many of us were here long before the massive development that's taken place in the neighborhood. And the artists who helped turn this neighborhood around deserve to be presented at high-profile venues that are now in the neighborhood. And with that said, are there any music performances scheduled this year that highlight group leaders or musicians from CB4?
I'm not sure. I think Ed would be able to answer that question, and I will ask him, and I'll circle back and let the committee know if there are any artists that are specifically from, that would say that they are from Community Board 4. I say that in our previous incarnation of our summer season, we had what you may recall was the Perform in the Park program, which spoke specifically to I think what you're talking about, which was, it was a very egalitarian entry portal for any artist who felt that they were a New York artist. You could apply and submit samples, and there was a panel of community members and artists that reviewed that, and then they were shuttled down toward production, and it was part of a conversation. Mr. Diller decided at that level that he'd like to try a different iteration of the way we produce. And so that is what you've noticed now, is that program no longer exists. And so there is no informal wide doorway for local artists to apply. You have, as you described, you reached out, you spoke to Farida and then to Ed. Ed is in the position of producer. And so as one of the lead producers at Little Island, the answers he gave you are, which I wasn't privy to, I'm sure are the answers from the organization for this year. The narrative or the conversation, the question that you have posed is just similar to the question around how do we provide space for teens? How do we fulfill our commitment as a leading organization to local schools and community groups as a gathering place? How do we honor those artists who made this neighborhood hip and cool? Those questions are being discussed internally. I think I would welcome the chance to bring you in, Mike, for a face-to-face to talk further about it. I would say right off the bat, I am not the person that makes those decisions, but I am absolutely one of the people that informs the conversation. And so we take that very seriously. I would say this year there is no chance for any change to the schedule. And so we're talking about a future. And I can't guarantee anything, but that I will tell you that we take the conversation seriously. And I take you seriously enough to ask you if you want to come over and talk to me further about it.
Yeah, that would be great to do. It is a little frustrating because I was kind of in touch following your presentation last June, and then was trying to get in touch with Ed, in the fall when programming was taking place. But that said, I would welcome the opportunity to discuss this with you further.
Mike, how do we follow up with you? Can I ask the committee to give if you send it there, they seem to know you well enough?
Yes.
And I think I have an old email if I hooked you up with Farida, right? Is that the same information?
Yes.
Okay. Farida no longer works at Little Island, for reasons that are not, not bad. But I miss it.
Mike, you could send your information to Jesse. I'm sure he probably has it, but just to remind us, you can
Okay.
send it to Jesse and then we will forward it to Michael.
That would be
Okay,
great.
so
I really appreciate it. And just very quickly before I go, I'd like to put in a plug. HKHY has got me, my group performing at Enoch's on 10th Avenue for Jazz Appreciation Day, April 30th at 5:30. So please, I'd like to invite you all and hope to see you there then.
Thanks, Mike.
Great,
Thank
wonderful.
you. I
Thank you
appreciate
so
it.
much, Mike. Okay, with that, thank you, Michael and Santos. Again, for this wonderful presentation. Okay.
Yeah. And they all want your energy too.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm really lucky. That's right.
So next on the list, we have the Highline, who's here to discuss their Emerging Leaders Fellow Program. So Nellie, if we could bring them over, thank you. Hello.
Everyone. Can you all
Hi,
hear me?
how are you? Nice to see you, yes. I didn't want to
Good.
botch your name. So if you could just announce your name, I didn't want to get it wrong.
Sure, no worries. Good evening, everyone. I'm Tennille Dowers from the Highline team, and I manage the Highline Fellows Emerging Leaders Program. So I can tell you
all about it.
Yeah, I can tell you a bit about it. Is it possible to put up the PowerPoint that I sent?
I think, yeah, Nellie, do you have their?
Perfect. Thank you, Nellie. All right. So to give a bit of an overview of the program, we are a program that fellows are able to join and stick with for up to 3 years. This past fall, we recruited high school sophomores into the program. So many of our new fellows are either 15 or 16 years old, but we had a previous year a few previous years where we hired from 15 to 19 years old. So we've got first year fellows and third year fellows this year. We do not have second year fellows because we did a hiring freeze last year, but we have about 39 people with us this year, which is super exciting. And if you can go to the next slide, please. All right. So what we're trying to do and what we have been doing and seems to be working well is provide hands-on learning experience for young people. We want to foster creativity and community connection. And we do this by just tapping into all of the things that the Highline does. So we look at art, horticulture, infrastructure reuse, and program planning. And we get the fellows involved in real projects that contribute to all of the things that we do. Our goal is to make this the best first job for these fellows that come to us from across New York City, most of which have a tie to the community in the area, whether they go to school and or live there. And our 4 learning pathways are the way that we provide these frameworks for the experiential learning. So we have arts and culture, civic engagement, horticulture, and park and visitor experience as our pathways for learning. And if you can go to the next slide, Nellie. Thank you so much. So this breaks down our year. We get into pathway learning around the early February through mid-June. That's where we get into the skills development and really learning about the different careers that are involved in making the Highline run as it does. We get the fellows to join in and take part in capstone projects. And we also have their winter and spring breaks. We try to get experts in from outside and have like full day workshops with the fellows. Part of our project is really demystifying all of the interesting opportunities and careers that are out there. You know, many careers I didn't learn about until I was a fully grown adult and had all of these strange creative skills and ability to plan and just like really analytical. And you know, it took me a while to figure out what to do with all of these things that seemed very different, but all fit into the role that I do now. So we're trying to skip ahead a little bit, not have a lot of that lost feeling, a lot of floating, and really, really provide paths, whether it's academic or career, and just really have them speaking to experts at the Highline and beyond us. So in the summertime, we get into a residency period where we pair the second and third year fellows with experts from the Highline in different departments. So they get to contribute to other projects and learn about some of the other roles that we have across the organization. And in their first year, they start to apply more of their learning that they did in more of the classroom setting by doing art and horticulture tours, and also helping to build out and facilitate our summer family workshops. And in the winter, well, through mid-August through early winter, we are dormant in theory. We give the fellows time to get back into their classes in September, really get into their routine before we get started up again. That's also our recruitment period. We typically open our application windows early October through early November, and then get into interviews. And by the end of December, have our team ready to join us towards the end of January and get things running again in early February, the classroom celebration. We also celebrate our alumni team and try to really stay connected to the folks that graduate out of our program and also send them opportunities. Some of our fellows who have graduated from our program have gone on to other jobs at places like Little Island, which makes us very happy. Yeah. And they also work as teen teaching assistants at some of the local schools. We have a school and family wing to our department, and the senior manager there manages about, I think it's 6 in-school programs at mostly schools in the area. Can you move on to the next slide, please? All right, so I'm going to go into just speaking about our 4 learning pathways a little bit more. So civic engagement pathway, we learn about government and the city budget, and one of our biggest projects include taking part in participatory budgeting with Eric Botcher's office and local city officials. So the fellows do everything from helping to create the displays that are used at the expo, launching PB, and gathering votes as well. They also testify at City Hall. That's where this photo is from in particular. And we're looking forward to getting the results of this year's voting. And next, please. So arts and culture pathway, that's one of the pathways that I facilitate. We explore artistic concepts in social contexts. We explore how art ends up on the Highline, why it's there, and how the public responds to it, and also how we respond to it. We learn about how to speak about art because it can be very intimidating to like learn these words that are sometimes very strange, but we try to make art really inviting and do so by also connecting with some of the other institutions in the area and across New York City. This picture is from the Whitney, where we are speaking with and collaborating on a possible open studio session. To be confirmed, but May 9th looks like it's going to be the day. So if you know any young people that would love to come out and do some public art making and participate in any of the tours that the fellows will be leading, please send them our way. And next slide, please. All right, so the horticulture pathway, of course, we have some lovely world-class gardens. So we get the fellows to explore those and also help with the maintenance of the gardens and learning of the plants. And they get into assisting with tours and really forming really interesting and great bonds with the gardeners and horticulturists at the Highline. A lot of the fellows who've come to us and weren't really sure what they wanted to do have ended up going into some green jobs that they, previously didn't know existed, and go beyond our park to even work at some of the other parks in the area, which is always great to see. Part of our project is also connecting with other parks and other infrastructure use projects across New York City. Some of the trips that we have coming up are at Socrates Park, Gotham, and the Queensway. And our next pathway, thank you, Park and Visitor Experience. So this is the other pathway that I facilitate as well. So in this one, we learn a lot about project management and event execution. And this is really around like programming and supporting programs that happen in the park, not just in our department, but with the art team, with community engagement, with anything that might be happening in the park. So we learn about audiences, think of how we can create a safe space for young people and, to come really feel like they have no worries and be supported by other young people and other adults in the space. So our big project in this pathway is Teen Night, which is coming up very soon, May 30th, and that happens from 4 to 8 p.m. at our Sun Deck area around 14th Street and stretches to the Chelsea Market Passage, which ends around 16th. So we also have a prize going for, it's going to be randomly drawn, but if folks are able to register by May 27th, we will be giving out a prize of a gift card at the event. And this is planned by the fellows, executed by the fellows, and I do the steering. Next slide, if you can. All right, that's it. Thank you, everyone. This is my first presentation here. Hopefully it was okay.
That was wonderful. I love that to see how you are working with other cultural organizations like Little Island and the Whitney. I mean, that's fantastic that you all are working together. I just have a question. For all the programs that you do, like how many teams are you serving a year? And maybe if you can give us an idea of how many schools you partner with, and are any of those schools in CB4?
So we partner with, I guess I'll start with the schools question. About 6 schools, PS33, Quest to Learn High and Middle, James Baldwin School, Fannie Lou as well, which is out in the Bronx. But I feel like I'm missing one.
Three schools in our district, that's a lot.
Yeah, mostly in district schools. And I know I'm forgetting one that I'm going to remember as soon as this call ends. But our senior manager of schools and family programs, she coordinates those relationships. Some of the schools programs actually offer credits for some of the students as well. They do learning around climate art and STEM and growing things. So really, really interesting learning. And some of our fellows actually assist the teaching artists that work in those programs as teen teaching assistants. So they get extra time learning how to support within these classrooms. Some of them have been students in these classes that they're also supporting. So it's like really great to see the growth that happens across that as well. Annually, I would say we serve probably around 40 to 45 students, and that's just those who are in the program. With alumni, we also support and share out opportunities that pop up or come across our desk with a network of alumni from our program, which is probably, we estimate to be around like 80 to 100. There are some that are more super engaged because it's, across the lifetime of the program. So those who have left us more recently and are still probably in college and are still trying to look for their next thing, stay in touch a lot more. So we have maybe like 20 to 30 that still reach out for, the college recommendation letters, writing, and also come to some of our alumni events where we ask them what they need and try to have more career talks, send any work opportunities that come our way. So if there's anything that y'all want to send me, I always make sure that they get sent out to our alumni who are looking for opportunities. So I'm really excited about some of the things that Michael posted that I'm going to bother scientists about pretty soon.
Sounds great. Do you have any questions? New committee?
I have two questions. One, you mentioned that you don't have any second year fellows this year because the program was paused last year. And I was just wondering, was that a funding issue or why was the fellows program paused last year?
So the program wasn't paused. We just paused hiring. So those who were with us continued with us. So we still had about 30 something fellows. We had one of the managers actually moved away. So it was just a matter of making sure someone else was in place to manage.
Right. I just want to make sure that there weren't funding concerns about, the continuity of the program. So that's great.
Go ahead.
Sorry. My other question, I was just wondering, we'd heard from the Little Island team that they have a very strong link with CUNY. And you said that you partner with 6 schools, and I was just wondering, how do you only market this fellowship opportunity to students at those 6 schools? Or do you, how do you market the program? And who are you targeting, if anybody, to become a fellow?
So we, in addition to bumping it out online to the different major recruitment sites and LinkedIn, of course, we blast it out to all of our contacts, within, any collaborators, spaces in New York, the different government contacts as well, the schools, of course. So we try to cast a pretty wide net, but also get boots on the ground and walk around the neighborhood with some of the fellows and actually present at the local high schools within district. So we actually reach out to the principals, and I think we've sent stuff. We've talked about it at the community board meetings before. And from what I understand, Preeti, I think, presented last time for us. So we have like a multi-pronged approach. A lot of it happens to be word of mouth from the fellows themselves, interestingly enough. We make sure to ask, how did you hear about us? We post on our Instagram page that we ask other folks to bump it out for us. So pretty wide net. We got about, I think, close to 200 applications the last round. Yeah, so it seems like folks are interested and know about it. We do still, I think I got an email yesterday from a parent asking when the window opens up again. So yeah, there's been a lot of interest and so many great young people that we interviewed. I think we did 60 interviews in like 2 weeks. Well, interviewed about 60 people in 2 weeks the last time. So yeah.
Great, thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, well, thank you so much for joining us and telling about this great program. That's fantastic.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, have a good evening.
Good evening.
So that is the end of our presentations for this evening. We do want to spend a few minutes talking about the environmental plan, NYCHA. I don't know if anyone's had an opportunity to look at it. It's about 1,000 pages long. Literally. Yes. And each committee is expected to provide some comments, and also with include, we've all been assigned a section. So there's a lot to go through, and I did go through the schools and the the community spaces section, which is about 50 pages long. So basically what this says is that we there are several different alternatives to this project, right? So there is the no action plan, which basically means that everything stays the same. And then they have the rezoning and the mid-bulk plan, which is what they're proposing, either one of those plans. But, I think it's important to keep reminding everyone that nothing has been approved, HUD has not approved this. This is just a statement that we got, and that, so we have to respond to it. And the interesting thing is that they've done all of these projections. They've worked with the School Construction Authority, the Department of Education, and the Department of Education actually gets their projection enrollment numbers from the Department of City Planning. So by the year of 2041, in about 16 years, the DOE is expected to drop enrollment by about 25%, which is pretty big. District 2, it's a little bit less than that. I think it's about 9.7. But overall, families just can't afford to live here anymore. It's just a reality. It's the last school survey that went out. Seems to be what they've been hearing from parents is it's just unaffordable, and so they're moving to other states. So with that in mind, they ran these numbers, and so they're looking at the reduction in student population. They're looking at then the additional housing stock, not only possibility with NYCHA, but also the mixed south, the Midtown South mixed use plan and the Western Rail Yards. So all of that added up, we're probably going to generate about 234 students, which isn't a whole lot.
Wait, they're saying,
Yeah.
wait, what?
Okay. So they're saying by the year of 2041, this area, CB4, we will have about a total of additional 234 students, and that includes elementary, middle, and high school.
Because they're assuming basically 20% drop from now.
Well, right now, they're only concerned about the drop in District 2, so it would be 9.7 drop, yes.
And then with all of the potential new construction, they're saying that it will only add 234 students.
Yeah, yeah. And it's a little suspicious because, yes. So in order for us to, first of all, the way that they stated in the study is that it's not going to have the building, the proposed plan goes through, there will not be a significant increase in students for them to really do anything. So the significant increase means that we would have had a surplus for at least 100 elementary school kids, and we come out at 98. So we're basically 2 kids short of really having them look at the possibility of maybe a new school, right? So it's all very suspect. So even when it comes to terms of, I started looking into the public health section about the noise quality, and they're even saying that that is not significant. I mean, we're talking about the demolition of how many buildings, the rebuild, and they're saying that the sound quality, the decibels are not, right, are not
Over 15 years.
significant.
Over 15 years, yeah.
So this is pretty
Just
much what
get
they
used to it, it's white noise, that's why.
Right, exactly. So this is kind of what they've said across the board. You know, what I'm basically going to, you know, there's some issues, like they missed a couple of middle schools. I don't really know what happened with that. When they're looking at pre-K seats or 3K seats, they're trying to say, well, you know, you don't have any, all the seats aren't full, but then they're looking at schools from Tribeca and Soho, like that has nothing to do with what's right here. So there's issues like that, you know, I'll be responding to. But basically, it would be great, you know, if anyone wants to take a look at it and see if there are any other issues, specifically as it relates to health, because I haven't really gotten that far into it. So the health is kind of broken up. There's one public health section, but it's only 5 pages long. And, you know, the communal spaces is like 50 pages long, open spaces is 50 pages long. There is one, you know, area on air quality, which, you know, would be great, you know, if someone could look through that. But anyway, we have to have our comments to conclude by April 21st. So if anyone takes a look at it, yeah, and, you know, just send us the comments and copy the chairs on Blue or the Greg. And so
I will say HHHS has also divided it up, so we're.
Oh, good. Oh,
Sections of
oh, yes.
we've divided up the sections that we think apply to HHHS, which includes health, so that's definitely getting looked at, but, yeah.
I looked at the school, but this was my first DEI and I didn't know what I was supposed to be reading for specifically. I think that the one question that I had was Hudson Guilds, their childcare center is going to be displaced for a period of time. And they said that, you know, we like located possible, you know, areas where we can hold it, but it hasn't been, obviously it's like because there's so many plans in place, like nothing's been secured per se, but it's just like, at what point then will we find out? I mean, are these like, you know, we're noting some of these flags or things to do upon which. So if that's the case, then I'm like, okay, but they've noted it. They've noted that there is about 34 kids that are currently in the childcare centers that will need to find alternative, you know, arrangements, so.
Yeah. Yes.
First of all, I think we should also emphasize several things that there's an alternative of renovation, wouldn't be so drastic. And since all these mistakes that you've noticed with the schooling, the education, just from a back of an envelope type reading. And also, what you were saying about the Hudson Guild, that they're gonna demolish it, they're not even sure they have a replacement. We should recommend a rejection, because from the whatever we have influence on this committee, based on what you said tonight, you would reject any type of demolition, just from the back of the envelope.
Yeah, I mean, we're not like really there yet, like we.
But they're asking you to study the recommendation
Yeah.
of demolition. We right now could be there because already you see that what they're saying is Fulton. And they don't have enough guarantee of where the people are gonna go in the guild.
Yeah,
And remember, this is a related change to the rules of the deck when it came to the Western Rail Yard. It's the same part. I'm very skeptical. I think we should take a strong stance on rejecting this.
David, I would say like.
Maybe use different terminology, but that's.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because I think it's really important that we point out where we think there are some real flaws in this, right? But to say because this initial draft is flawed, to go from there to say, oh, therefore, we definitely.
Well, it's more, they're all being dishonest more than anything else. They're not even just flawed, they're relating people in there. I think we really need to.
I think we should be super firm, yes, very clear about like, we think this is wrong, you need to go into more detail about all this. This is a draft, but to say, because this wasn't full and accurate and convincing, therefore, we are going to go ahead and say it's nay on the entire project.
Put a
I'm
nail
not
on
sure
our,
that that
at least on nail on our portion of the project, because if they proceed with the demolition already, he's already, having done it, we're already having issues.
Well, a draft EIS is exactly for this. Draft EIS is for public comments.
Yeah.
That's how you get a final EIS. It's exactly what we're supposed to be doing. I mean, you should have rejected the draft. You should add comments to the draft. You should reject the file.
Yeah.
I think we first need to go through the entire thing. Point out, like you said, some of the things that are not consistent or untrue, take inventory of them and then comment back on what we found and then see what they say. Before we take a firm stance.
Before,
And I'm sure
think about taking firm stance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we should also see the alternative, what would be, which is renovate.
Is
Well,
that part
say,
of the,
okay, this is the part that's like.
because they have
really
alternate
crazy.
plans, right?
Right, okay, so the alternate part that says, renovating and infill, it's not feasible. So they included it because we asked them to include it in the statement, but what they have said in the statement is that it's not feasible. So it's off the table, basically.
So they're
That was
trying
their
to- they're
response,
trying to
that was their
manipulate
response.
this. That's the problem.
That was their response, so they didn't even include it in the school's stuff, because they're saying, no, like, we can't do that, it's too much money. It's 3 times the cost of what they said it was going to be the last time, and that was on the table. And actually, CB4 approved that in 2021. Just the renovations and a couple of new buildings, but that's no longer on the table. So, yeah.
That's interesting.
I actually had a question for you though, has Essence Related contacted avenues like the PTA to have, I'm just trying to find if they are speaking to the schools? Not yet.
I can find out.
Yeah, it would be interesting to know because they should be there across the street, you're looking across the street, other side of 10th Avenue, so. I believe that they are trying to start conversations with PS 33, so it'd be nice to know what's happening with avenues. What they're saying.
Yeah. So are they at all, cause there's a school that's in for that whole Western Rail Yard section, right?
There should have been.
Like a K through 8.
Where, currently now,
No,
No,
with
in the capital plan.
in the Hudson Yards, like that casino
They
development.
were supposed to, they had promised us a school
Yeah.
many years ago. So they did not, the construction authority did not include that in these projections, because we don't really know where that school stands, we don't know what's happening with it. So I honestly don't know, it's still in the capital plan, but we don't know what's happening with, if they're gonna get a casino or not, we don't know, so.
They spoke to PS2, they spoke to PS 33, from what I'm understanding, but also just a correction. From what I understand from people who've told me about this, it's actually less expensive to do renovation and
Right.
demolition.
Right.
What they're saying is wrong. So we're working on a total false premise here, and that's what's bothering me. I understand this one we have in front of you, but they're putting in front of you garbage.
No, I, we've been having these conversations with Clue, this has been going on for, the past year since we got the first, notification of what they wanted to do. So come to Clue and have these we're gonna have a very big meeting on the 21st. So please come, and we will be going through this, in detail. Next week, there are 2 public hearings, very important.
Tuesday and Wednesday.
Yes, Tuesday and Wednesday, one's at Fulton Houses, I think the one, is it, Wednesday's at Fulton Houses?
It's only for the residents and
No,
No,
it's a
they're
public
public.
hearing. So Wednesday at 6 o'clock, 6 PM is at Fulton Houses, and on Thursday, the 24th at 6:30, it's at Chelsea Elliott. So this is for the public, anybody can attend, okay? And Essence and Related will be there to take comments and, so it's a big week. So please try to
So
attend.
besides things not sounding copacetic, like, are there any other recommendations that we can make? Like, I don't know, cause we were talking about in our waterfront parks environment, just different, just on the noise thing, I think, who was it?
noise mitigation.
Brad was talking about, there's these like noise mitigation efforts and creating walls and things like that. Is there anything from a schools or community center standpoint that you felt like we can request? Cause it's
Absolutely.
15 years.
That's part of it, yeah.
Where,
That's-
you know.
Right.
You're basically gonna be screwed, your class is gonna hear noise, and it's gonna disturb the students, it's gonna be horrible.
And the staff too, can you imagine working in this environment where their construction will be going on from 7 AM till 3 o'clock, like right in the middle of school hours, every single
Well,
day.
and also weekends, that's also in that,
It's just ridiculous, what they were saying about the noise quality is it's like over 80 decibels, but you get that at, other schools like PS11, I mean, but we've never seen a project of this scale, so I don't know how they can compare it to something that's happened at a PS11 when you have one building that's being renovated. I mean, we're talking a huge project.
I guess it would be like the Hudson Yards build, right, that we had
There was no
20 years ago.
Right.
I lived around there, there was a lot of noise, there was traffic and a lot of noise, it was horrific. And you're talking about their possibility to work on the western rail yards and this, so like the air.
Oh, yeah, and then Gateway and Port Authority, I mean, it is like, we've got
But the people
massive.
from Penn South in that neighborhood there, the blocks are gonna be inundated on both ends.
Right.
Which is out of our purview, but any schools that are in between there are gonna be affected. It's not just noise, it's dust.
The air quality.
When you demolish something, demolishing some work is very bad for the environment. That's one of the reasons I'm really, so it's because it's so bad for the environment, they always say try to rehab, if you
Right.
can, it's wasteful, just.
So please come to Clue, David. But to get back to your point about the sound barriers, Candace, who's the co-secretary, she's a construction worker, actually.
Yeah,
And so I'm definitely gonna get engaged with her and to see what kind of, information I can add to this from the school's point of view.
Yeah, right.
And even like to your point, like are there specific things we can ask for, right? Like there are really powerful air
Purifiers for the school.
Yeah, maybe say
And
like,
also like windows getting reinforced in
Yeah,
terms
yeah,
of
we.
noise.
Yeah, or a new whatever, like schools, most New York City public schools don't have any AC. So the way to cool off on hot days is to open the windows. And maybe we say, look, you wanna do this huge project and it's gonna last 15 years, then we are asking that you include, you should be installing
HVAC.
HVAC, right? And filters,
Yeah.
or at a minimum, AC units and air purifiers in every single room. You know what I mean? But you're right, like, let's be super practical.
Well,
Because-
being practical, you don't want this to even be considered to be.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah,
So here's the
yeah.
thing, David.
Right.
My impression is, like, always, in negotiations like this, there's always gonna be people who stand up and say, it's ridiculous. Of course you can do demolition. I'm sorry, of course you can do just renovation, and you're lying about your numbers, and then somebody else is gonna stand up and say, here are all of our numbers, we're not lying about the numbers, and you can fight about that all day long. But the point right now is, it's not for us to determine, are they doing renovations or demolition? It's for us to say, if you're doing demolition, then here are all the things that the community, we wanna make sure that the community is getting. And if you're doing renovation, here are all the things we want you to focus on, right? And it might be possible, their answer, I think, is, here's the deal, team, like, not us. Like, if you say no to brand new buildings for everybody, then we need to walk away.
Right, and that may happen.
And that may happen.
What do you mean? Would they walk away?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
not renovate at all.
Well, they're not a reliable.
And that may happen, but then the issue is that then NYCHA says, okay, well, as we've said for years, we don't have the money to do it.
Right.
And so now we're gonna have to start all again, we'll have a new RFP, it'll be a multi-year process. And then there are all those people who live in the buildings who say, wait, are you kidding me? I still have all my same problems, and it's 6 years later or whatever, and now we're gonna start from scratch. So there are all sorts of reasons why people are gonna be debating this. But I think that our responsibility has to be, let's make sure that whatever the next steps are, that we've made sure that we've tried to identify the best possible asks for either one.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Because
Well,
we do.
kind of like if you do demolition, it's kind of like, well, what do we do with this nuclear war? I mean, the best steps to survive nuclear war. I mean, that's kind of like.
I personally would say, I don't think that's an accurate, I don't think that's a fair, metaphor or whatever, but maybe, who knows? But I do think, we would be missing an opportunity if we said, nope, not us. We're just gonna say the whole thing stinks, go back to you.
I mean, we are a community board, so we do have to answer. There are people who actually do support this program. I went to Fulton houses. I mean, listen, the people who supported it obviously were the ones who showed up. A lot of people don't feel like they can go and not say anything. So we do have to hear from both sides.
Yeah.
But what strikes me is when you were talking about the windows, they were saying in the report how Avenues and PS 33 have the same quality of windows, and PS 33 was built in the 60s, at the same time that the public housing was built. So how are they saying that these windows are they have the same windows as Avenues and can block the same amount of sound?
I mean, maybe
it's
they've
really-
had their windows redone, like lots of old buildings have had new windows installed,
Yeah, I don't.
but I do think that seriously asking for, those soundproofing walls.
Well, can I ask that even if they do renovation?
Right, but I do think asking for air purifiers and, AC units, whatever, we need to sort of think super practically. But creatively to make sure some of these things are addressed. And whoever was talking earlier about the pre-K or childcare that's at Hudson Guild, yeah, we need to make sure that, that they are providing a big enough space and with clean air and everything else, and easy to get to and not around 4 different, blocks that are all gonna be closed off because of this crash.
But it's not just your childcare, there's a theater in Hudson.
No, exactly. Yeah,
There's the
absolutely.
senior program. I
Right, we
mean,
have to make sure that all that, and my understanding is, but again, I haven't read it in a detailed way, is that they have said absolutely. That,
They've identified those programs and they said that they haven't confirmed. But what happens if there is no nearby spaces?
There's so many
that they-
ifs. Yeah, we have no idea.
Well, that's the thing, why destroy it? There's no nearby space. Why get rid of it? You get some very valuable art spaces, beautiful galleries where they show the artwork there. There's a theater there. I went a couple of weeks ago to see a play. I mean, this should be a no-go if they can't find a replacement.
right, and I believe that this says that they have found possible replacements. But as you
Possible,
say,
but
yeah,
that's
but again,
definitely-
they're not gonna sign a lease until they have until the deal is signed and ready to go. And so this is, this whole chicken or egg problem. you know, well, why aren't they doing more right now? Because the deal's not signed. Don't sign the deal. All right, if you don't sign the deal, then I can't start, you know what I mean? It's like,
I honestly believe that if this proposed project goes through the demolition, we should get a new school. I mean, the buildings were built at the same time, and they are saying that those buildings are not structurally sound, they're too old, they're crumbling. Yes, and 33 is in the same situation. They were both built at the same time, and that school is just being renovated by piecemeal, here, there. We deserve at least, at minimum, a new school.
Did they promise a new school at Hudson Yards?
Yeah, right,
And where is that school?
right. But this.
I mean,
Yeah.
but you negotiate with people that have already like screwed us,
Oh,
why,
of course.
so I don't.
Well, we're not really at the negotiating stage. I mean, right now, we're responding. But, you know, as I say, I would highly encourage you to come.
No, I
That's
mean,
where
I do plan
Yeah,
to.
yes, yeah, but you know, listen, your point is absolutely taken and valid. Yeah, they've promised us so much. And look what's happened. So I think that your concern is felt by a lot of people.
yeah, but to your point too, the problem is that when the city says, according to their calculations, oh, there won't be more kids, you don't need a school. We actually have to talk to the school construction authority and say, dudes, what are you saying? Like, your calculations are seriously flawed. So, you know, so I think in some ways it's the city letting developers off the hook. But this has been true for decades, that this whole calculation about when you need a school is always like wrong.
But I was even saying to replace the school, this would still be
Right.
PS 33. Just replace the entire building, give us a new school building that maybe can accommodate more seats. This is actually what the superintendent wanted. He said, you know, when I had a conversation with him about it, he said, can they build us a new school? Have you seen that school? And of course, I've been there several times, but they can't, that's something that they could do. I mean, they're right there, they're building everything anyway. And then, of course, that's another very long-term issue, you know, then where do the kids go? But if they're gonna be in a construction site for 15 years, I'm sure a lot of parents are not gonna be happy with this.
But I think right now, we need to be concerned if they're gonna tear down Hudson Guild as a right, or whatever that is. And I think that is our immediate concern.
Right.
When
Which
we're
is why-
talking about the future, we need to really make sure that that doesn't happen unless something better, or something that, but it has to be concrete, it can't be, well, this, that, they've already pulled shenanigans. Yes.
Yeah, but yeah, so I think it's worth all of us reading that section, and yeah.
Definitely. All right, so that's it for the evening.
No one from the public?
Nellie, is there? Oh, David's in the public. Nellie, can you bring him over or let David speak? Hey, David, how are you?
Good, thank you. I just wanted to point out that, you know, NYCHA has never provided any substantiation for why Fulton and Elliot-Chelsea can't be renovated comprehensively under the PACT program, the same way as half of their campuses throughout the city have so far been done. They've made it clear that they intend to take perhaps all of the revenue from the new mixed income component out of Chelsea to put it into their general coffers. That appears to be the main rationale for demolition. They've said there's nothing that they know of structurally wrong with the buildings. The reason for demolishing them is to clear most of the site so that all of this new construction can be built. Community Board 4, in comments on the draft scope of work, asked to see an alternative for renovation, and that is included currently in the draft environmental impact statement. If you look at it under project alternatives, you wouldn't know what you're seeing. They didn't bother to label the buildings to indicate the heights of the different parts. There are site plans for Elliot-Chelsea and Fulton. The Elliot-Chelsea site plan shows a shaded area, a large one next to the senior building. Most of that is actually a rebuilt one-story Fulton Center there's a small rectangle at one side of it that would be the proposed 24-story tower, including 110 units. On the Fulton site plan, there are two small shaded areas, and we can only infer that those are one-story commercial. They're not even mentioned in the text. The NYCHA simply checked a box in providing this. What they did was they took Related's RFP submission, which was for exactly the same construction, a new 24-story tower at Elliot-Chelsea, and recycled it. They didn't put in any honest effort to satisfy the community board's request. And finally, I'd just say to you, to those of you who will be going through and providing new comments, it would help, I think, to look at the previous comments made by CB4 and the elected officials and the Attorney General's office. And those are in the appendix to the draft environmental impact statement called written comments, which are unfortunately 775 pages, but you can find them from pages 412 through 447. I think it's worth reading them so we're not reproducing any effort and trying to make sure that issues raised then are followed through on. And everyone, I think, should read the executive summary and look at the project alternatives just so that they have points, critical points of reference for your comments. Thank you.
We have another hand up from Lydia. Were you gonna say something, Max?
No, I also recommend, I mean, I've been starting reading this document too, but I've been reading the fiscal needs assessment from 2023. That's very, very helpful to me, the NYCHA put out, and it really shows what's wrong with this building. And I think it kind of partially explains why the PAC stuff is the way it is right now, but this P&A they did back in 2023 was eye-opening to me. It basically laid out what's exactly wrong with these buildings, and I think everyone should read this if they're reading this document as well. Because this,
Yeah, the material in the Dropbox.
yeah, I can send it around. Yeah.
Lydia, hi Lydia.
Yeah, hi, I'm Lydia Andre from the Chelsea Neighbors Coalition. I think it's, you know, someone was asking, what can we do or what can we ask for? And I think one thing you can ask for is for the schools and for the community groups to have access to other planners and other consultants who can show you what the impacts will be on our community. You'll notice that the DEIS makes a little bit light of the sound issues that are going to be affecting the students by claiming it's equivalent to being next to a major roadway. I don't think parents sent their schools to their kids to these schools expecting that. They dismiss the importance of Chelsea Park as not part of the cultural fabric or an important part of the cultural fabric or character of the community. I think that it's incumbent on CB4 to talk to community members and realize how grossly unpopular this idea is of building these two mini Hudson Yards in this densely populated neighborhood. This isn't only about the people in NYCHA who also are strongly divided on this issue. It's about the community as a whole. And I think that anybody who believes the DEIS tells the whole story is deluded. We need some other voices and some other experts in here. And I think all of these committees should be asking for that. We at Chelsea Neighbors Coalition are hiring our own expert to give us better examples and to communicate issues like shading and noise and historical character and massing so that we can understand without having to read a draft EIS that was written to obfuscate and which cannot possibly be comprehended by the majority of people because they don't have the time to read something like that. And that is so important for you to realize. You are speaking for the community and everybody needs to come to the table and help with this. Thank you.
Thank you, Lydia.
Actually, that's a really great point because the parks are going to be affected by this. Like with all that dust, like the park on 10th Avenue and 26th, right? And then there's the playground too within NYCHA. I mean, that's.
I'm sure WBE is looking at that too, but they're, yeah.
Well, I think it's really going to be important to get the school engagement, because that's when you're really gonna see parents start coming out and talking about it. I still think a lot of people just don't know. They really
No,
don't
for a
know.
fact
Unless
they don't
you're,
know.
yeah, unless you're involved with the community board, you have no idea.
Well, that's where we come in,
So,
because a lot of parents won't know till the
Right.
construction starts to happen,
Right,
and
right.
it's too late.
And I think this is one of the reasons why, no one has met with the schools yet. I mean, I mentioned this months ago. When related was, we had that joint meeting and they have still not met. And because I know what they're afraid that they're going to hear and rightfully so. So,
So should we meet with school?
Well,
I
the
think-
parents, once the parent
Right,
communities are
yes,
activated with the
exactly, yes.
administration.
Right, so I believe that there is a, meeting that they're setting up for the next, PTA, PS 33, if you guys are interested, I could let you know, and I believe that Eric Foster's office will be joining, at least someone from his office. So, yeah, but this is, the word needs to get out past us, and it's just, this is not enough. We're going in circles.
Yeah.
So, we'll see what happens, but I will let everybody know, when that meeting is if you want to.
It's
go.
33 and the one on 18, right? 17, 18?
No,
High
33 is
school?
on,
Ninth Avenue, yeah.
No, 33 is up like on 29th, 28th, where's
Yeah,
33?
28th
David?
and
Yeah, it's,
Yeah.
26.
Yes,
26.
yes.
But no, and then 18th between.
That is PS 11.
PS 11.
Right.
Is that impacted, PS 11?
That's
It's
a bit
adjacent
away,
PS 11.
right,
It's
right.
away, so-
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Okay, so PS 33 is really our most important constituent here, right?
Exactly,
Okay.
right. And the avenues
And
community as
avenues,
well.
yeah.
Right,
Oh, yeah,
so-
we'll get them going.
Yes, yeah. Well, if you know, whenever, if you can find out how
will,
are
I'll
they
follow up with
engaging
you.
with the school, what is happening, okay,
Yeah.
that would be great. All right, does anyone have any other comments or? Thank you for staying for that discussion, and can we get a motion to adjourn?
Oh, it's also in the middle of
Okay.
Bayard Rustin's campus.
I'm sorry?
Someone just texted me, it's in the middle of Bayard Rustin's campus too.
Oh, well, that's near PS 11, you're talking
Yes.
about the Fulton, okay, right, yeah, exactly, yeah.
Motion to adjourn.
I second.
Great, thank you so
Great.
much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Good night.